Hi, everyone. Oh,
Hello.
hi, everybody out there. Thank you for joining us to turning a moment into a movement. My name is J Love, and the movement was birthed the day my son Gerard was wrongfully incarcerated for a crime he didn't do, and it turned into the Justice for Gerard movement. And from that movement, we birthed this one, turning a moment into a movement. So we want to welcome you here and thank you guys for joining us. We're in the middle of, well, this is week 5 of our wrongful incarceration series. We have been through different causes for wrongful incarceration. We started with confirmative biases, talked about the police stop, eyewitness misidentification. We talked about plea deals, the plea deal trap. Last week, we discussed misconduct, government misconduct, where we basically more so talked about police misconduct. And this week, we're going to discuss prosecutor misconduct.
Mhm.
So, in order to make change happen, we have to have a conversation. We got to understand what the problem is, because if we don't understand what the problem is, we don't know how to fix it. So first we have to have these conversations. And what we're trying to do with these conversations is lead to change, laws, and policy changes. So welcome to joining us. So I see Edward, who was here with us last week. He said, hello, everyone. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi, Edward. So I'm going to start off with you. Normally, we start off just in case this is someone first time. You guys introduce yourself. Hopefully, Trisha and Attorney Hugo Matt will be popping in soon. But we'll start with you, Tia, because we always have the most issues
I know, right?
with you. And we don't get to get to you. So we're gonna start with you, Tia. Introduce yourself, Reverend Tia Littlejohn. Let them know what you do, who you are, and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much, Janice. I'm so happy to be a part of this team, turning a moment into a movement. And that is just so dynamic for everything that we do.
Yes.
But I have been actually assisting in social justice for years now, for over 20 years. And I did a peace conference in 2006 in Detroit. So my efforts have always been to focus on peace. Right now, of course, I'm pursuing my doctorate degree, so I kind of scaled down a little bit as far as activities are concerned. And I do work with, I'm a behavior interventionist. I work with autistic children.
Mm-hmm.
And so my main goal always is peace and justice. I believe that, well, right now I did continue my work with Flint. So they're making headway in Flint as far as with the water and reparations.
So
So the
what did you? I don't mean to interrupt you, but what were you doing in Flint, Reverend Tia?
in Flint right now we're working with reparations for the people of Flint,
Okay.
and I work alongside with Commissioner Bishop Bernadette Jefferson, and she, along with others, have been trying to get reparations to the residents of Flint. They still don't have, healthy drinking facilities for everybody.
Wow.
There's so much has happened just because of that criminal disease that they created there for the people to drink water and to have lead in their bodies and have all kinds of illnesses that go from generation to generation, affected so many generations at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so at one point, Judge Levy here in Ann Arbor they were here trying to get Judge Levy to, who is has the judicial governing over this whole thing.
Okay.
To get Judge Levy to not they just put a blanket check amount and said, I think they were saying like 640 million total for all of Flint residents. And in order for them to access the money, they would have to prove that they were affected, and they would have to have a bone scan. And so many of the people couldn't get a doctor to do a bone scan. And after knowing what has happened and the horrific challenges that people have had to face, to go at it that way was really unconstitutional. So I'm going to be checking with, I'm not always able to get in during the day because if I'm working, but to see if we made any headway as far as her lifting that bone scan. And also, not writing a final amount right now, because how can you, how do you calculate that?
Right.
And how do you, so that's what I'm working on right now, along with, of course, turning a moment into a movement.
Right. Yes. So next we have Miss Allie Hughes, and Allie, tell everybody about, because you do a lot of stuff. So let everyone know what it is that you do. And also, I noticed that you put something about a new job on your
on my Facebook.
Yeah. So
yes. Okay. Well, first I'll say I'm Alexandria. I go by Allie. And I'm with Michigan Liberation as well as Accountability for Dearborn. I do this work because, there's a cycle of hate that's continuous, and it continues against Black people and people of color, and that needs to stop. And it's affecting our mental health and well-being, and that needs to be more of a priority in itself. And I do this work for those reasons, as well as always keeping in mind women's rights and things like that, and advocating as much as possible. And also, I'm a behavior therapist and ABA therapist. And interesting what Tia said, I also work with autistic children and teens, and I'm also a coordinator, so behavior coordinator and behavior therapist.
Wow.
So I'm that's me and working outside of activism, but always trying to help people. I've always been always got enjoyment out of that. But yeah,
that's awesome. Look at that too.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Hi, Attorney Hugo Mack.
well, hello, our queen and leader. Look, first of all, let me say this. If there was a way for me to email or stream y'all donuts, I would, for being a little bit late here. So I apologize.
No, it's okay. She just text. She like, I'm on my way. She was running behind. So we're doing the introductions. So introduce yourself and tell, just in case this is someone's first time joining us.
Okay.
What you do.
Well, first of all, let me give a tribute to Cicely Tyson, in case her name has not been invoked already. A great woman, a great civil rights activist. A lot of people don't know, and her acting and her inspiration to everyone. 96, she lived a great life. So I'm encouraged by her memory and saddened by her loss, but she lives on with all of us. My name is Hugo Mack, primarily a criminal defense attorney. Although if the opportunity arises, would not have minded to be elected county prosecutor. But the way that things worked out, we all have something positive we can do, no matter where we are. You know? And I believe that a light shines brightest at its source. And for me right now, it's the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Southeastern Michigan area. I believe in justice. It's something that's embedded in me from my life experiences, my own penitentiary experience. I understand wrongful incarceration and over incarceration, and also, in my Christian ministry, This is part of my ministry, fighting for people who cannot fight for themselves. And I've seen systemic racism up front, especially from police up front. Okay, so I know the problem is there, and I'm dedicated to doing everything I can to fight it. And I'm proud to be here with my sisters here tonight. I really am.
You're here. I want to say, I'm getting a little feedback for some reason, but today, I don't know if I mentioned this when we first started, but Gerard has been home a week, and we're happy for that. And we're still, I mean, it's a process, you know, but he has a village, like I was telling Sam this morning, he has a village, and we're just gonna walk the process with him.
Amen. That's right. That's right. That's right. Amen. Amen.
So today we're talking about prosecutor misconduct. So I want to say before we get started that prosecutor misconduct is one of the leading causes or contributing causes of wrongful convictions. So as usual, we go to you, Attorney Hugo Mack.
Well,
You explain to us what is prosecutor misconduct,
okay.
and how does it affect a case or affect the individual? How I'll just let you take it.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, you know, when you talk about prosecutorial misconduct, with the decades the Lord has blessed me to be in the courtroom and appeals, if this was a military discussion, prosecutorial misconduct is what's known as a target-rich environment, okay? A target-rich environment, because it is so ubiquitous and it's so sneaky. So let me explain this. First of all, the Supreme Court of the United States has said it is okay for a prosecutor to strike hard blows, but not foul ones, okay? So it is all right under the eyes of the law for a prosecutor, if they've got 15 witnesses saying the same thing, that, you know, you were there stealing out of Walmart, it's okay for that man or woman to call 15 witnesses that identify you. But when it comes to that 16th witness, who they want to call and identify you in that Walmart, and that witness says, well, you know what? I'm really not so sure. I mean, kind of looks like her, you know, but I'm not sure. Now, prosecutorial misconduct comes into, well, now, wait a minute now. We got 15 other people that identified this person, okay? So you trying to stay there and say all these 15 other people are wrong and they've identified this person who we say it is? Now, come on now, come on. That is prosecutorial misconduct, okay? That's a form of witness tampering. But the invidious nature of prosecutorial misconduct is that most of it we never see. We never see, because it goes on in conversations that are never recorded. It goes on in investigations where you and I will never know about. You know, one of the things that I've stood firm on in my entire career is a symbiotic, incestuous relationship between prosecutors and police. All right. Police would not be able to do misconduct, which is part and parcel of prosecutorial misconduct, without the prosecutor's acquiescence, either a direct involvement and agreement or a blind eye. I mean, I'll just tell you one time, I tried to bring some misconduct of a police officer, for example, to a prosecutor's attention when we're getting ready to have trial. That man looked at me and said, I don't want to hear it, and walked away. That is prosecutorial misconduct right there. That is prosecutorial misconduct. So what happens is, it is possible to get a conviction reversed on prosecutorial misconduct, but the bar is so high, you might as well be trying to pole vault 30 feet with a 10-foot pole, okay? So what happens with the courts is, the appellate courts are so eager to affirm a conviction is that they'll say, well, any kind of prosecutorial misconduct is harmless error, okay? And so that's the big catchphrase the appellate courts use to excuse all kinds of misconduct by the prosecutor. So the misconduct is where a prosecutor can ask questions that he knows or she knows are improper, goes outside evidence that's legally adduced in the trial, giving the jury personal opinions. I cannot tell you how many times I've had to call prosecutors on the carpet in front of a jury when they go to talking about a personal story about themselves. Okay. In other words, well, it happened to me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the prosecutor. I wouldn't be saying if it wasn't true.
Right.
So what happened to me to this case with the defendant. So it's ubiquitous. The prosecutors know it, and courts far too often let them get away with it. And so that's my job to do everything I can to stop it. And it can turn a jury. Believe me, prosecutorial misconduct can turn a jury and make a not sure about guilty into, yeah, this person is guilty. It's a serious problem.
Greetings, Pam. She just said hello to us. So, wow. So I want to also ask you why I got your attention. Okay, so we know police have qualified immunity, but prosecutors have something that's called absolute immunity.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to us what that is, and then the difference between the qualified and the absolute?
Sure. Well, part of it is a semantics game. Okay. Well, let's start talking about the police first. Okay. Now, police officers work for either a village, a township, a city, a county, a state, or a federal agency. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, what the government has decided, our legislature has decided, is that they do not want police officers hindered in their duties by threat of suit. The theory being, if they're so afraid that someone's going to sue them, they're not going to be able to do their job. So they give them a qualified immunity, all right? And in a lot of cases, that's absolute immunity. And so, in other words, so if a police officer, for example, just because they're wearing a badge, all right? Let's say a police officer pulls over Sister Hughes here, all right, under the pretext that she's got didn't put a turn signal on or something like that. But the real reason she did it is because he did it is because she's driving black, all right? And so let's say some kind of incident occurs and the sister is hurt. I'm just using that as an example. Now, if we can establish the real reason for that stop was not based on criminality, but based on race, and that he accosted Sister Hughes because of her race, that takes him out of qualified immunity. You understand? Then they can be sued because they've stepped outside their shield, all right? So when we talk about qualified immunity, what that really is absolute immunity unless they step outside their shield of protection of doing their duty under the law. But now with the prosecutors, they do have absolute immunity. And that's because they said they've taken it one step further with prosecutors, that we don't want them at all worried about being sued, because prosecutors bring tens of thousands of charges against people in this country on a daily basis. And so they said the prosecutor would be in court all the time defending himself or herself in a civil suit unless we gave them absolute immunity. But there is one way around that with a prosecutor. And that is if a prosecutor knowingly violates the law, okay? Knowingly violates or prosecutes somebody for race, religion, gender, or uses a law that they know to be unconstitutional, then they can be sued. So, but other than those rare exceptions, it's very difficult to get liability on a prosecutor or a police officer.
Okay. We have a video.
It is important to recall that the duty of prosecutors is to seek justice, not convictions. Even so, prosecutors want to win, and there are few checks or monitors on their behavior. Let's take a look at prosecutor misconduct. When prosecutors forget that their mission is to protect a due process, not merely win a case, misconduct can occur. The types of misconduct range from minor lapses of ethical rules to commissions of criminal acts. Most prosecutor misconduct involves unethical or illegal means to obtain a conviction. Experts discuss 4 types of prosecutorial misconduct: withholding exculpatory evidence, misusing pretrial publicity, using false evidence in court, and using preemptory challenges to exclude jurors. rules forbid an attorney from knowingly allowing false evidence to be admitted. Misconduct also occurs when prosecutors intentionally use scientific evidence that they know to be false. Prosecutors might also bolster a witness's credentials or allow him or her to make unsupported claims on the witness stand.
So, pretty much everything you just said.
Okay.
I want to go over to Allie because Allie, you're doing prosecutor work. So I want to go to you because I feel like you have some expertise on this subject.
Yeah, we so in Oakland County, I'm doing prosecutor work. So Karen McDonald, you know, I met with the chief deputy prosecutor, which is Karen's number 2, back in was it way like right before the new year. Now holding a prosecutor accountable is like the question everybody like, how do you hold a prosecutor accountable?
Right.
To me, that's the hardest thing. Right now, it's the hardest thing because we're still trying to get the data and get them to be transparent. And right now, they're not.
So I just want to ask you this question because I know you did work in Livonia and Dearborn. Was it easier getting police data than it is the prosecutor?
It's easier, but they're both hard.
Okay.
Like it's a small margin of less difficulty, and with the police is a little less difficult only because I guess the structure, they have a smaller structure. So like the city, it's a smaller structure, but it can still take the same amount of time.
Okay.
Like Livonia, they try to charge us $13,000. Dearborn, it took like 8 months, like 6 months. We had to really push and be on counsel and just really be on them to get it. So yeah, I guess it depends too on the situation. Yeah.
So your work in Oakland County, you were saying, is you're trying to hold the prosecutor accountable for
make sure they don't commit misconduct.
Okay.
We want to prevent that from happening. We want to prevent wrongful convictions. We're trying to get the prosecutor to keep up on what they said they were going to do. Right. Karen McDonald, she said she was going to end the cash bail system. That's one of her things. Those wrongfully convicted, making sure those people are, not in prison anymore. Also juvenile justice. Mm-hmm. So mental health, there's a few different things. But one of those is transparency and holding them accountable. We can't hold them accountable if we don't know what's on the other side. So we're trying to get transparency first.
Right.
So
you're saying ending cash bail in Oakland County. So in Washtenaw County, they just went in and
they just did all of it. They just
cash bail.
Yeah, they just cash bail. They decriminalized sex work to a certain extent. Yeah, Eli is doing a fantastic job. The activists I really give it up to that's been out there doing the work.
Comment Evans said, get the prosecutor to stop overcharging our Black men and women. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Somebody made a point that in Oakland County, it may be harder because Oakland County is bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And Washtenaw County, it's same issues, but different place. Mm-hmm. I don't know the extent of that, if it'll be difficult but my thing is the problem is just as bad. So it shouldn't be a less of a reason or anything like that. It should be still, we need to change this now. Right. We need it now. So she's supposed to do a crew report similar to Eli did. So we've gotten the okay on that. And we're supposed to meet with them again. What is it now? Oh, next week, early next week.
Okay.
So Yeah, so now we need them to give us answers. We met with them and already said what we want, gave them an example of a report that we would want people to see. Now they need to start telling us, okay, what you got? That's what we need next.
And I think because of the movements that has been going on for the last year or so, or 2 years, prosecutors are being called to the table like never before, and they're being held accountable, and they're probably not used to, people asking them because they have all this power that they walk around with. So because of these movements that's been happening, Black Lives Movements and other movements, I think that has made prosecutors now have to pay attention to what they're doing, where before they could just get away with stuff and just say, I didn't know. So speaking of that, Trisha, welcome.
Hey, everybody.
So Trisha, introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do, and then we're going to talk about prosecutors' misconduct.
All righty. Well, my name is Trisha Duckworth. I'm the executive director of Survivor Speak, but really that doesn't mean as much to me as being a servant of the people. And so if you really want to know where my heart is, it's serving the people and fighting for freedom alongside all of these great folks and everybody else who's in the midst of the movement.
Yay. Well, welcome, ma'am. We're talking, Attorney Hugo Mack explained to us prosecutor misconduct, and he also talked about qualified immunity and absolute immunity. So because you're here, Trisha, and you have more knowledge than we know about Washington, we know that reforms are happening there. And when we're talking about prosecutor misconduct, how does these reforms help the prosecutor be more transparent and be more accountable?
I think the reforms, I think the policies are absolutely amazing. I think they all stand true to what was spoken during the campaign. And I think now, I was telling somebody earlier that now that's where we come in at, right? Because I would like to call us, we are the enforcers, right? So we see what these policies are. Now it's our job to pay attention and be looking at the assistant prosecutors and what's the flow of the office. See, the thing is that they don't serve at the pleasure of the people, right? They serve at the pleasure of the prosecutor. The prosecutor serves at the pleasure of the people. So if we see something going on in the midst of the prosecutor's office that's not appropriate, we have to go back to the prosecutor. We have to go back to the ones that we've elected and have some measure of accountability. And hopefully the doors are open. We do believe we have open door in Washtenaw County, but we also believe that we got to stay at the table. I think what happens is people get elected and everybody's like, whew, no.
We did our job.
Like, okay, thank you for participating in that part of the job.
Right.
Well, it's time to go to the next level.
Right.
And to be the gatekeepers and to be the watchers on the wall, to be the ones that make sure that justice is being rendered. And if that doesn't take place, then we go back to the drawing board on how we execute and how we move forward so that we can bring about justice.
Right. So it's kind of convenient that we're having this conversation because just a couple of days ago, we had an example of prosecutor misconduct. We're talking about Eric Smith and the prosecutor, the ex-prosecutor of Macomb County. And that was a prime example of a prosecutor that had misconduct in office. Actually, he was taking money or his doing something with the money. But I was thinking about that and I was like, okay, so this guy was taking money from his campaign funds and he has been removed from office. Why are we not looking at all his cases? that he prosecuted. I mean, if he can do that, couldn't he easily wrongfully incarcerate someone? So the prosecutor duty is to promote justice for the entire community, and including those people who are charged with a crime. So the prosecutor job is not just to win cases, it's for justice. So Attorney Hugo Mack, do you want to take that about
Well, yeah, part of the problem is a nexus between that particular situation. I'm fairly familiar with that with Eric Smith in Macomb County. And that was not just misconduct, that was criminality.
Right.
And so, you know, and on most of these prosecutors that perform misconduct, they don't go to criminality, but we ought to know they are criminals, but they don't go to criminality where we can prove it. And
Right.
it's so covert. It's so covert that, you know, you almost need whistleblowers, you know, people of character to come in and say, look, this is wrong. You know, I've seen these cases come in and the little Caucasian kids getting a slap on the wrist, and I've seen it, you know, several years as a juvenile public defender, I've seen it where unfortunately little Timothy and Susan from a community like Chelsea come in, you know, slap on the wrist, and little, you know, Khadijah and Kwame from Ipsy, you know, we got to put them through the system and put them in juvenile hall, you know. So but it's hard. It's hard. But, you know, along that same line, they've had, for example, scientific labs where they've shown where they fudged reports on scientific evidence. Now, if we can get at least one case where we can show that, that gives us the door to say, wait a minute, we got to look at all these cases where this expert has said the DNA is there. Maybe it wasn't. So I'm just so grateful that people like us were coming together, because we're going to shake that tree, you know, and if you're not fruited, we going to pull you out that tree. You know, we're going to pull you out that tree, and you're going to have to deal with us, you know.
So what was that you said, Trisha? Go ahead and say it.
You know what I said? If he'll lie, he'll steal.
That's
If he'll
right.
steal, he'll cheat. Okay. And so what it does, it speaks to his integrity.
That's right.
Yes.
Because if you lie over here, you'll lie over there. And so, you know, why are we trusting people like that? We should want to go back through their cases. But the thing is, they don't want to do that, because that would cost the county a lot of money. If there were things that were done, you know, it could just be this downward spiral into, you know, just having exposure throughout that office. And it's definitely needed. But, you know, even speaking of Oakland County, there's a judge in Oakland County who is horrible. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I witnessed myself. I was there for a case with a friend, but I guess this judge also too does a lot with probate, and you know, he got some probate type of situations going on. I don't want to say scams, but allegedly y'all ain't heard it from me. And and I sat in this judge's courtroom and witnessed him tell everybody, oh, I didn't realize. Now, mind you, they had sentencing. I didn't realize that the victim in this case was my nephew.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, you know, it's my brother's stepson. Now, mind you, how long has brother been married to that woman? Well, it's my brother's stepson, and they don't have the same last name. So, you know, I didn't even know. And so the attorney for the girl was like, and so he was like, well, we can pass this on if y'all won't, but you know, it's up to you. What you mean it's up to you? Your integrity should have said, I'm recusing myself from this case because my nephew is the victim. But you know, they went forward. The girl said, oh, it's okay. We don't mind. You don't mind. So these are the things I'm telling you, these courtrooms and these prosecutors, they have the spirit of call, do what they want to do. And they need to understand that, again, those positions belong to the people. But we've got to make them understand that. See, that's the thing. They have no fear because we've been sitting on the sideline too long.
Right.
And I'm so thankful because of the now moment that we're in, the momentum, people at the table, people asking questions, people being willing to push the envelope. That's what it's going to take for change.
It really will.
Carmen said, oh, hold on, Allie. Carmen said, was it Michael Warren?
Nope, it was Judge O'Brien, allegedly.
Yeah.
Tia shaking her head like she familiar.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah, I've heard about it, and that's something too. Court watching. That's why court watching is so good. And Michigan Liberation, we'll be doing more of that too. If anybody wants to always message me or the Michigan Liberation Facebook or IG page. We always look for people for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just reading Carmen. Carmen said that was my next name. Go ahead, Allie.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just saying, I agree. Yeah, judges they go unnoticed. They go so unnoticed. And in elections, and just in general, they do. But we got to remember it's the whole tree. We say the whole tree, we mean the whole tree. The leaves, we mean the branches.
Right.
It's the whole tree.
Right. And Bernice said that, yes, that's him. You know what? I'm glad this is the reason why we're doing this, because sometimes you think you're alone or it only happened to you. And, once you, like this movement that we're creating, when you find out it's not just you, it gives you power. You can take your power back. Like, we can all work together. So,
yes.
When he said he cost my son his life. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I had a cousin too affected by O'Brien. That has cost him years to try to recover. I believe that, and we had mentioned, Eric Smith earlier. I believe until we do begin to get all the records and when a county experiences the loss because of criminal activity from a judge, then the next time they won't do it. See, to me, it's just like behavior therapy. They're going to keep doing it because no one tells them it's wrong. They get a slap on the wrist. And even Eric Smith, if I'm wrong, correct me, I understand that he's going to be disbarred and he only has to pay restitution of $70,000 when he had possibly went through over $600,000. I'm amazed, stunned, and appalled.
In 18 months?
Exactly.
Could I turn in?
Okay, hold on. I want you to introduce yourself and tell everyone. Baraka is here with us today. Introduce yourself and tell everyone what it is that you do, and then and then you can go ahead and say what you do.
And thank you, because I would have passed over that etiquette. My name is Edward Sanders. I'm a former juvenile lifer without parole. I served 43 years in Michigan adult prisons, starting at the age of 17 years old. I came home just before my 60th birthday. I went to prison in 1975 and came home in 2017. I'm a graduate student here at the University of Michigan School of Social Work, just recently last month. And I don't know, maybe I'm styling myself as a social justice advocate. And this is one of my most passionate concerns is so-called criminal justice system. And the biggest the single most egregious form of prosecution misconduct is something that is practiced not just by a single prosecutor, but by the entire system. And that is the exclusion of African Americans from their participation in the jury process. We can look at all other behaviors that they may exercise in terms of overcharging, whether it's vertical or horizontal overcharging, whether it's to take in coaching witnesses. None of it compare to taking and excluding the participation of African Americans in the jury process. It's literally like a statement against us in terms of our humanity. We are claimed to be the most victimized peoples in America in terms of crime, etc. And we are even told that we are most often victimized by ourselves, by people who look like us. But despite these type of claims, they don't then allow us to participate. Imagine that you're a victim of a crime, but they don't have confidence in you sending the person to prison that victimized you. Okay, so something is wrong with that narrative. Imagine if you were living in Germany, post-Hitler. You were living in Germany post-Hitler, and you came to find out that Jews are taken and put in prison in numbers, even though they are a minority in Germany, they are placed in prison in numbers exceeding the rest of the society population. And that despite that, they are not allowed almost systematically throughout the country to not participate in the jury process. We would easily say that's outrageous, with all of the things that they went through in Hitler's Germany. Then to turn around post-Hitler Germany, they can be the most prosecuted minority in the country and have the largest presence in the country's prison, but they don't play a part in the jury process at all. We would easily see that there's a racial hand there, and we would speak out nationally and internationally on their behalf. But we sit silently, and we even relish the fact that, hey, I'm not called as a jury member, but then we take a complaint, about the large number of African Americans that are in prison. If we are going to take and affect the criminal justice system, one of the most important things that we need to do is challenge our absence in the jury pools and process. And even where we are called, we have to start taking and challenging the prosecutors' abuse to take and strike people who look like you and I from the jury pool. They use all of their challenges to take and do that. You can start off with a large number of African Americans, and then you're going to wind up with a jury selection that look totally different from the person that's sitting in trial. If we're going to get serious about challenging the criminal justice system, that's something we need to do. We need to take and show up ourselves at the courthouse door with a sign saying that I'm willing to serve as a juror.
Right. Okay. I know you saying that, and I was thinking about, my son, when they were picking the jury, it was probably 50-50, the racial dynamic, black and white. But by the time it got down, it was like 90% white, and then maybe one or two black people, and that was it. And that was the jury of his peers. So you're right. Trisha, you was going to say something to Bernice. I didn't want to go any further without recognizing.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I think, first of all, let me say I am just deeply sorry about, what you shared about your son. And like Jay said, it's a moment of us all coming together, right? Because we can understand feeling helpless. A lot of people don't speak up. But I will tell you this, there is movement around that name O'Brien, and get your stories together. And on any judge, really, because even, while we're talking about prosecutors, Yes, but it is the whole thing, right? Like Ali said, and they cannot just do what they want to do, right? They cannot do what they want. They have, but there's something called the Judicial Tenure Commission. We could be leaning on these people. Let me tell you what, and this is what's so funny to me. I read this the other day and I just thought to myself, well, where the heck are you? Their mission, I guess it says, is the Judicial Tenure Commission serves to promote the integrity of the judicial process and preserve public confidence in the courts.
Yeah.
I said, oh, wait, let me jump down to the next one. The commission strives to hold state judges, magistrates, and referees accountable for their misconduct without jeopardizing or compromising the essential independence of the judiciary. So you mean to tell me they got people manning over now? And we're not talking to these people?
Yeah.
We're not contacting these people. Then I go on their website and find out they have a meeting. Your meeting's closed.
Oh, wow.
Why you got a closed meeting?
Right.
And now a little further looking into it, these are appointments. That means that our governor appointed these people to have closed door sessions. And then you say that to preserve the public confidence. Well, excuse me, you can't get my confidence unless I can get in the meetings and see what y'all doing.
Right.
Yeah. And you want to be transparent. Like, where's the transparency? Like, nowhere is like, can we just get some transparency in this world? Because
that's right.
Oh my God! Whether it's the prisons, they ain't off the hook either. The prisons, then you got the prosecutor, then transparent, then the police. Like, you should want to be transparent. You want to serve us and help us. If you really want to help us, then you have no problem telling us what you're doing. What you got to hide?
See,
they hide.
Can I say something right here?
Yeah, I got a question too for you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, and then I'll give you the question.
Okay. You see, part of the problem is I heard one of the judges on this bench in Washtenaw County make an offhanded comment that when a person gets elected judge, they're elected forever. You see, and that is the problem. The problem is it is extremely difficult to run against an incumbent. You've got people who simply do not want to hold somebody accountable once they're in that spot, unless there's some kind of scandal or, you know, or something like that where somebody can draw attention to it. And these judges know that. But part of the problem really rests with the people, because when a person is in office and you have somebody willing to rise up and run against them, to challenge them in the marketplace of ideas, you know, and justice, most people don't want to give that challenger a fair chance. They don't want to support them financially. They don't want to support them coming to their rallies. They don't want to do anything like that. And it costs a tremendous amount of money. So most attorneys with these judgeships, they simply do not want to invest the time to run against an incumbent, because unfortunately we've got a problem in our society. We say we want to believe in underdog, but it's really something about us sometimes that wants to put people down. It's a pathology. So that is part of the problem. Just like with these sheriff's offices, these people running for sheriff, once they get in office, most times they feel they're in there for life. And unfortunately, that most times is the case, because they keep getting elected time and time again. A prosecutor's office the same way. So we got to be honest about that, sisters and brothers.
I think we need to get our people out of the habit of voting on name recognition and vote for actually what people do. I kept this question up. Well, it's not a question, it's a statement that Carmen made earlier when we were talking about when Baraka was talking. But she said, what's sad to me is that attorneys hate to have cases in Oakland County because they refuse to plead any of their cases. And Bernice said, thank you all so much. I needed all this info you are sharing. I'm still fighting for justice by sharing my son's entire story and helping other youth. So,
you know, I don't think that going back to, being once you in office and you're there forever, you're the judge forever, prosecutor forever. I don't think they should just be able to run and continue and continue and continue. Like prosecutors, like Jessica Cooper was the veteran, was here a long time. Right. And then Karen McDonald got in, which is good. But it's like, you should not have somebody there that long. Kim Worthy should not be in her seat. She's been there since, you want to go back to White Boy Rick in that case. She's got history in that too. And that was a long time ago. Coleman Young, history with, she has a long history, and your roots are that. And you cannot be as sharp after all this time. And then on top of that, you're carrying this same, you want to fuel the system, mass incarceration, and keep it going. So you should not be able to just keep running. There should be a cutoff with that.
Sometimes you get tunnel vision.
Yeah, bring some young leaders in. You see young politicians with these ideas. You see AOC, you see the Cori Bush. You see these people with these fresh ideas that we have now started to adopt. So I'm like, you got to bring something new. We're over mass incarceration. It cannot be anymore. It's not fair. There's no such thing as a fair trial at all.
Right, we're over it. Tia?
I was just going to say, I think now's the time, because a lot of time, when it's near time to vote and elect officials, people want to know. They want to know. But we've got to keep the report card going. Mm-hmm. So that they say, okay, this is who we elected. That's why I'm so glad the work that everybody is doing, Allie's doing, whatever, all of you that are out serving and doing this work is tremendous. And it's so important. I think somebody mentioned it earlier about keeping that momentum going. And it's so important for us to put the report cards out now. Start saying, okay, this is what's happening now. What's happening now that they're in office? What does the report card look like? So that people can know, wait a minute, become aware of it now. Right now, today. So oh, wait a minute. Oh, she's in office. That's not what she said she was going to do. Mm-hmm. But if we don't keep the conversation going so they can begin to look at these officials in real time, we need real-time information that's dispersed in the community so they know, oh, you're not for real. You're not doing what you said you were going to do. We are holding you accountable. But make it so they should be embarrassed that they're criminal, that they're involved in criminal activities. They should be embarrassed that they misrepresent. They should be embarrassed when they get into situations of entrapment with people in the community. We need to put their report cards out steadily.
Yeah. Trisha.
Speaking of that,
Baraka.
Speaking of that, and thank you for saying that, we are getting ready to drop a 30-day job performance appraisal on the prosecutor's office. And so what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to the public. We will have a review of each policy and have a weight of the effectiveness that in the office right now currently that people think that, here's a policy, but what do you think it's doing, right? And then after that, we'll follow up with a 90-day performance appraisal. And we will continue. These are just small efforts of staying at the table and keeping a watch, you know. And we don't have, see, that's the thing. There's no cookie cutter approach. There's no cookie cutter fix to this, right? All ideals count. All ways of getting information are important, because that's the most important thing, is getting the information. We keep voting for the same judges because we don't know anything about the ones that we're voting for. I tell you, my mom, my bonus mom lives in Wayne County. And so I called her. I said, did you vote for Victoria? She was like, no, I voted for Kim Worthy. Then she was like, I didn't even want to vote for her, but I didn't know the other lady. I said, Mama, no, you got to vote for the other lady. Now, I don't know if people understand this. I took her to spoil her ballot, because you can do that.
Yeah.
If you mess your ballot up, you go to that clerk's office, you tell them you want to spoil your ballot, they will give you another ballot, and then you can vote again. I mean, I wanted to go on a spoiler alert for real through the county, you know, through the suburbs, right? But it was in God's will for Victoria to be with us in Washtenaw County for now, you know. But there's so much that we can do. And you look at an activist like, oh my God, this activist. Nah, you're an activist too.
Yeah.
Find your gift, find what you're supposed to contribute, because God gave each and every one of us a talent, a gift. And if we're not using it, we are doing a disservice first to ourselves, then to our family, and then to our communities. So we got to tap in, find that gift, get busy, and understand that we can all fight this fight together. That's when we're going to see some true change.
That's absolutely. Baraka?
We have to remember that in this country, lawmakers engineer laws to take and do a particular thing. And a lot of our laws are racially engineered, okay? They're racially engineered to take and have a particular effect on a particular group of people. We see that in the case of voting. None of us is surprised that this goes on with voting. It's meant, many of the teaching with laws are meant to take and exclude African Americans and other so-called minorities in the society. Well, the same thing is true with laws relevant to criminal, so-called criminal laws. They look at the behaviors that African Americans perform, and they design the laws to take and have the greatest punity in that area and the easiest means of prosecuting. We choose prosecutors in our community, but we don't do it with the idea of subverting what's going on in the legislature, which is what we should do. Because that one person is so powerful in the prosecutor's office that they can literally take and undermine what the legislator is doing, because they have a discretion. They have a discretion whether or not to charge under a particular statute, and they have a discretion of what charges to bring. Like, even though we have prosecutors in our own community that go to the state legislators that are asking for ridiculous type of statute to prosecute their own people, okay? You don't find other people doing that. If you look right now in the case of this Peel academic, where people are being addicted to the prescription drugs, you don't find them with that opioid situation taking and running to the prosecutor and asking them to come up with all these harsh, penalties, because it's mostly white folks that are taking and being addicted to that. But when it came to cocaine, what did we do? We went and took it so we don't even remember that the Clintons are the ones that put them in jail. And that's who we got to take. And they took and adopted a Republican platform, and literally our community looked like the last time white folks went to Africa. Okay, they took all the men out of the community, and our women are living in projects. And this academic has been going on for years. Then they create laws to say that the man, when he come home from prison, he can't move in the project with his woman and his children. Okay, we have to get sophisticated enough that if we're going to elect people, we don't elect them based upon the fact that they look like us. They have to take and know how, as I mentioned before, to deconstruct, reconstruct, and construct. They have to look at those laws and deconstruct them in terms of what they intend to do with them. And they have to reconstruct them to make them have a different effect than the harmful effect that was intended. And then they have to construct in the interest of their own damn community. Period.
Mm-hmm. Trisha, look. Go ahead. What you got to say on that, Trisha?
Nah, I did not coin this term. Let me say that.
Oh, so
But I fully agree with it. 1,000%, like Omori, I'm 100% sure. I 1,000% agree with this, right? Because we know what laws were made to do, like our brother said. We know where they come from. We know that they want to keep us under control. We know all of this, right? So if we know that, my question to each and every one of us are, what are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we talk about comes back to us.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that, and I don't know, I might have shared this last week, because I'm telling people that people can be unseated and people can be fired from their positions. And they said, well, you can't really say that. That's problematic because that's not really how it is. No, that's how it is. It's just not how it's been.
Right.
So I say it because I want to awaken the spirits of the people to understand their real power. Because doggone it, if we understand our power and we come together, stuff like that won't affect us. We can get some stuff done. But see, we still walking around blindly. Nah, we got to open our eyes to what it is for real. Challenge those that are comfortable with their privilege and tear these walls of racism and white supremacy down.
Right. And that's how the movements are birthed. When we decide that we had enough and we're going to take our power back. And, and that's who we are today. We're here to take our power back, and we're saying no more. We want some transparency. We want accountability. We want to end wrongful incarceration, over incarceration. We want alternatives to prisons, and we want laws to decriminalize Black and brown people, especially Black people, that when you go to these prisons, who's in there in the majority. So, and we want to eliminate that. And the only way we can do that is we stand up, we speak out, we use our voices, we change laws and policies, and we get people in, we elect people who are just as passionate about it as we are. We can do that.
absolutely.
So, well, we're a little bit over our time. But it's okay because, we're doing this for our community.
Absolutely.
I don't want another mother to be, to have a story that I'm having. And, just like Bernice, she's doing what she's doing because, what happened to her, which I feel so, as a mother, it breaks my heart. But that we have these kind of people in office and judges and judges you think are supposed to be unbiased and they're supposed to walk the line of fairness. In our minds, that's what we think, but that's not what's showing up. And so we have to do better. So Trisha, I'll call on you again because you have an event coming up.
Yes. So February the 3rd, and thank you, Jay, for this moment. February the 3rd, 6 p.m., we are going to be on a webinar via Zoom, and it's Are You an Activist 2.0. Yeah, you're an activist, and we want to inspire you to get busy. Now, we're really excited this time because we are bringing in the arts. So we're going to have some spoken word. We're going to have a hip hop instructor or lecturer from U of M that actually participated and wrote a dance piece around activism. So she's going to come and debut that. Again, we are just trying to inspire everyone that you have something special to contribute. And whatever we can do to uplift that so that you can join in this fight, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to follow up in March with Activism 101, because people want to be an activist, but they don't know the first thing to do. But we're going to take you step by step on how you can get busy and join this fight. So we hope to see you. And Jay, actually, I'll post it on the in the comment section, the flyer.
All right, cool. Attorney Hugo Mack, Yolanda asked a question. Is it wrong to want accountability, even though my son was not convicted, but wrongfully charged has hindered him?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. You know, to say you don't want accountability because a person was acquitted is like saying it's okay if somebody tried to shoot you, but the gun jammed. So the thing of it is this. A lot of times these charges shouldn't be brought in the first place. And I'm telling you, when you step into court, the odds are you will be convicted. You know, you have a hell of a battle on your hands. The odds are you will be convicted. So I want to say this, though, and I don't want to filibuster, but part of the problem is when we see January 6th, we talk about accountability, we talk about police, we talk about prosecutors. When we see, particularly people of color, see what happened January 6th, where a mob bum rushed the Capitol, the nation's capital, supposedly the most secure building in the world, and got in, and they did something that Robert E. Lee could not do. Robert E. Lee and 500,000 Confederates could not do. You know what that is? Bring a Confederate flag into the U.S. Capitol. Right. Robert E. Lee couldn't do it. It happened January 6th. Oh, yes, it did. Oh, yes, it did. So what I'm saying is part of the problem that we have is that we have a system that is not only racist, but blatantly racist, all right? And when you send a message to law enforcement that they got cover, when you send a message to rioters that they got cover, when you send a message from the highest, most powerful person supposedly in the world that I got your back, see, that's the problem, because it emboldens the racism. It emboldens the sexism. It emboldens the elitism. You understand? It emboldens all of that. And so, you know, it just breaks my heart, because when I see that, I know how far back they tried to set us with that. So, but I'm not discouraged. I'm encouraged. So accountability is it. And don't let the smooth taste fool you. We're here for the long haul.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Reverend Tia.
I love it. I love it. That's what I want to say. I want to say I love it. I also want to say, you know, Janice, I just want to encourage you to continue to document Gerard's path as he recovers, because recovering all is not just because you got out.
Right.
Right. That's right.
You know, and how do you recover all that was lost? You know, and I know our new panelists could also explain that too, but to have these young men go serve time, wrongfully incarcerated, how do you recover? How do you recover and get to know who you are again? See, what people don't realize, or some people don't realize, you know, if you put somebody behind bars and they didn't do anything, you've wiped out so much of their lives. And then you let them out, and then you give them some money as if to appease them. And it's just, they continue to do it because they have enough money to fund what they do. And so I'm encouraged today that the conversations are happening, but more than that, I am encouraged that I believe that the environment is conducive for us to win.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to go to Baraka, because Yolanda is asking what Tia put out. How do you recover once you come home after being incarcerated?
Well, you really don't, at least from my perspective, you don't. Others may have a different take on it. You don't recover. You can't take and reclaim something that's already done expired. The 43 years that I spent in prison, I can't reclaim that. That was a youth. That was a youthful age. I was running in prison in a way that I don't run now. I get out, run, and sometimes that run is a little bit more slower than it was years ago. I'm not going to reclaim that. I can't reclaim that. My physical appearance is quite different. I used to have a play sister that used to live down the street from me over there on Richardson off of Linwood that used to braid my hair. She won't be braiding this no more. You can't reclaim what's gone. And I didn't realize coming home would actually be the most difficult thing. And what I mean is coming home is not after you done come home, after you done got out of prison. What I mean by coming home is actually connecting with your family again and connecting with people that you once knew. They're not the same people. And they see you as the same person. And I'm not the same person. When I left society, I was 17 years old. I'm in my 60s now. And I don't appreciate a younger brother or younger sister speaking to me as though they were speaking to a child. And sometimes when you show your vulnerability to people, they think you're just totally vulnerable. And they forget that you're not. There may be an area where you may need some help, but that don't mean that person is a lame. And so you have to remember that when your loved one take and show that vulnerability is a betrayal of their trust and their openness if you go beyond that. If you begin to take and usurp all of their autonomy and begin to take and want to make decisions for them, you want to get upset because they want to make the decision for themselves, they have a right to make their own damn mistakes. Right. That's their prerogative. You don't take, and because you waited on them, because they're in your home, because you know of some vulnerability of theirs, it don't mean that you don't inherit them as a child. That's a grown person, and you have to respect that.
So Yolanda said, my son cannot go to another college because of being wrongfully charged, and it is hurting him mentally. Yeah, I talked to Yolanda too about that, her case with her son. And we'll probably have to talk about wrongfully charges and wrongfully detained, but that's a lot right there. He's stopping him. He can't get into another college to do what he needs to do because of a wrongful charge. Okay. So yeah, Allie, I'm glad you posted that because that was a question. How do I get involved? So go ahead and take it.
Yeah, no, get involved. Please visit, Michigan Liberation's Facebook, our Instagram page, or Twitter. Just same as the name at MI Liberation, or Accountability for Dearborn if you want to get involved on an even more local level. Reaching out to Accountability for Dearborn's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. And we also do intro meetings so you can get to know the people part of the team. You'll see me and a few others. You can learn about doing FOIAs. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can just attend our educational meetings, attend our council prep meetings. So if you want to learn about how to speak out at council meetings, then you can attend one of those. So we have tons of educational opportunities and more direct action opportunities. So it's a wide array of things. But yeah, visit those two things, or accountabilityfordearborn.org or milib.org. And those are just a couple ways to get involved. And then lastly, too, I wanted to say Accountability for Dearborn will be having the Data Town Hall on February 20th, and we'll be going through citations received. And then also as well, tune in to Breathe Live, podcast that will be started by me and other activists. And we're trying to keep the energy going COVID or not, we want to keep the energy going. We want to have different people on there making a difference and just inspire other people. So look out for that.
Attorney Hugo Mack, Cliff Martin said, I don't know one Black man that hasn't been tested by this injustice system. It is a damn rite of passage that we became more accustomed to within our neighborhoods than an education or a career in the STEM profession, skill trades, etc.
Well, we got to change the passage then. We got to change the route, because part of the problem we have is young Black men in particular growing up thinking, I'm supposed to have conflict with the police. I'm supposed to get my head cracked. I'm supposed to be thrown in the back of a police car. You know, that's a rite of my passage manhood. No, it's not, because that's a passage to destruction and death. Okay, because you're born with a bullseye on your back now. There's no question about that. But I guess my response is that when we love ourselves first and foremost and realize the God force that is in us, that greater is He in us than He who is in the world, you know, we don't have to accept that. Dr. King didn't. Medgar Evers didn't. You see, Rosa Parks didn't. We don't have to accept that. And so what I'm saying is, I guess in response to that comment is that it is true that happens, but it's not inevitable, because I'm telling you, we can stop it when we love ourselves and our community first, and then we can love and protect everybody else.
Right. Love brings action, and a lack of action is lack of love.
That's right. That's right.
Baraka, you left me a message.
Yes, I was saying that if there's someone interested in trying to get in school post prison, I would love to take and try to help. I received the help myself, and I got in school, and I done finished graduate school within the 3 years that I had been out of prison. In fact, 17 months, and I'm in and out of the School of Social Work. I consider this as still a continuous part of my education. But if someone interested in going, I would take and help them, but the only thing is they have to be willing to help themselves, and I got the time for that. I make some time for that, and I should mention to you, I was blessed there at the university when I got to take and meet the daughter of the gentleman that initiated the suit, Brown versus Board of Education.
Wow.
I shared her photo on my Facebook page before, but I met his daughter. She was there at the school defending the legacy of her father as to why he participated and the real facts relevant to the case. And it was a real pleasure. And she took a lot of joy out of my being there.
Awesome. Okay. I'm trying to get this comment to come up. Hold on, guys. Cliff Martin said to Attorney Hugo Mack, I appreciate your response. Thank you.
Amen. Amen.
So, okay, we're going to get ready to go. Does anyone else have anything to close with? Or you want to say before we close out?
Let's take it let our prosecutors, even though they may look like us, that's not the criteria. The criteria is that they think in the best interest of their community.
Right.
No one can think in the best interest of your community if they have statistics that say that more people are being prosecuted from that one county that represent more innocent people that's being put in prison than all of the counties in the state of Michigan. That more Black children are being sent from that one county than all the counties in the state of Michigan. These are statistics that we shouldn't have. Those type of statistics should disqualify you as a so-called Black politician or Black office holder. They should disqualify you, period. And the fact that so many African Americans in Wayne County is excluded from the jury process. These are major things. We're not talking about you know, what kind of case you want here and there. We're talking about these numbers that take and affect our community as a whole. There's no excuse for these numbers of African Americans being put in prison. And we should be conscious that they're now sending these young kids to prison, not with 1 or 2 or 3 gun offenses, but sometimes as many as 5. CCW, felony firearm, felony in possession of a firearm, the taking a serial number off a firearm and importing the firearm from out of the state if the gun was manufactured in another state other than the state which you was caught with the gun. That's silly. Other peoples in other communities are arguing for military style weapons, and here we are arguing about a simple firearm where you're being charged with multiple offenses for that one firearm. So you'll wind up spending about 20 years in prison for a single gun. It's getting serious. It's getting serious.
Right. And if COVID hasn't taught us, you know, it should have, that it's bringing to open our eyes to the prison system. And it has opened our eyes to the disparity, the lack of medical treatment and everything else that's going, the lack of, you know, clean environment. So you're right. We have to start paying more attention and get more vocal about being a jury duty, about more Black, you know, people sitting on jury duties and not just saying, oh, I want to be excused, you know, because this is it's all of our duty. You know, it might not be you right now, but it could be you one day. Revertia, do you have anything to say before we leave? Revertia, we can't hear you.
Lord have mercy. I'm here.
Okay. I saw your mouth moving, but wasn't anything coming out.
Oh my goodness. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what I was saying was to change the narrative. Changing that narrative starts with us right now, and it's in our homes. And we get to change what we're looking at. We get to change the image that our children see. And it begins right there. Mm-hmm. Giving them a better image, giving them a different story. While we do the fight on the outside, let us never forget the inside. And the initial part of the community is the family.
Absolutely. And the change you see it starts right with you. You know, like you said, we got to start with ourselves first. We got to do something different.
That's right.
Once we start doing something different, you know, it's like a trickle down. It's going to attract somebody else. It's going to get somebody asking questions, and it's a movement. It keeps moving. So I want to thank you guys for another, you know, Friday of this. We went a little long, but it was good because
that's all right.
I didn't want to leave questions unanswered.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. But you guys come back next week. We're gonna talk about next week DNA and junk science and how that affects wrongful convictions. So join us next week for that. And I like to always, it is our duty to fight for our freedoms. It is our duty to win. We must love, respect, and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our time. Thank you, everyone. See you next Friday.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.